Hello, blessings, everybody. Special episode. Been stoked for this one. To come to fruition, we'll say, Dr. Donald Morton. How are you, brother?
Man, you cannot be more excited than I am to be able to sit down with someone that I highly respect, right? These conversations happen often for me, but certain conversations are meaningful because of the level of respect I hold for the person with whom I'm conversing. So thank you for allowing me to share space with you, bro.
Hey, man. You know what? So just real quick so those who don't know. I was on your podcast, probably, I don't know, maybe a year max. I don't even think it was that long, but sitting on this side, and this side being when I was a guest on your podcast, man. I was so appreciative of the platform, right? That'll help me extend my reach.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was like, man, this would be really cool if I could do this for people, you
I
know.
love it.
And people have been telling me, oh, you should do a podcast. You should have a podcast because of all of the social media content that I put out,
Yes, sir.
right? And I was like, nah. And it's because I was thinking about it from my perspective,
Yes.
right? Like you
Yes.
tell me I should do it. What am I going to get out of it? And I'm like, wait a second. What's everybody else going to get out of it?
Yeah, man.
Then I started thinking. Then I started grinding a little bit. Um, and then I had an uncle who's not even on social media hit me one day, and because I keep him, he's like an older brother to me,
Okay.
and I keep him posted on my moves. And he says, "Bro, you ever think about a podcast?" I said,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
give,
yeah.
I cave,
When
bro.
he
I'll do it."
says it, yeah, it's
When
it's
he
time.
said
It's
it, it
time to
was like,
move.
all
Yes.
right, it's like time to make that move. Time to make that move. So, before we get into it, man, let's pay some bills right quick. Sponsorship. Shout out to Altruist Taxes and More. This episode of Life Portfolio is brought to you by Altruist Taxes and More. Altruist Taxes, right now in the midst of tax season, Altruist Tax is your complete virtual partner for tax filing, bookkeeping, and a myriad of other services, including virtual notary, AFLAC, building your business credit, personal credit, so much more. So go to www.altruisttaxes.com. Get started today. You mentioned this ad, you get 10% off of your 2024 tax filing fees. Bills are paid. Good doctor. Let's have some fun, shall we?
Let's do it, man.
My God. So I wanted to start real quick, and we talked before. I literally have two bullet points, man. Everything else is just going to be us doing what we
Yes.
do best, right?
Yes.
The first bullet point is very near and dear to me because it's the foundation of the relationship that we have, and it's how we met. So we met virtually in a nonprofit that was geared towards helping men
Yes.
be better men, right? And up until we met, in person. So I'm in Houston, you're in Atlanta,
Yes.
right? You were a 2x2 square, along with a bunch of others, man.
Yes.
And whenever you spoke, it would be a moment.
Mm.
It's like, and I saw how you moved, like you would let everybody do their thing and you would take everything in and you would just remember what everybody was saying throughout the whole session. And then you would summarize, but with your flavor in there, and then, shoot everybody in a direction. And
Yeah.
that was consistent. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
this brother got some things to say.
Yeah.
And then was the conference,
Yes.
right? And whenever I attend any function, I try to be front and center,
Yes, sir.
right? Like I want, I'm going to give you my undivided, right?
Yes.
And what happens a lot of times is the speaker will recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
And a good speaker, as you know, will make everybody feel like they're talking to them.
Absolutely.
But when the speaker starts engaging with me,
Yes.
I'm a little different from everybody else,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So front and center is it. And we had that moment, right? We had that moment. But what was super impactful for me was where you were in your personal life at that
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
and whether or not you were even going to attend.
Yeah.
So, if you could speak on that, and we'll start with that, brother. Where were you when you took that flight from Atlanta to Houston to speak at that conference?
Yeah, man. So my life has been a series, bruh, of moments. I like the way that you kind of characterize it, right? A life, everyone's life is a series of moments, challenges. Um, I kind of refrain from talking about good moments and bad moments because the truth of the matter is there are no good moments or bad moments. There are just moments, and um, how you reflect on them, how you characterize them, how you create meaning around them is absolutely up to you, right? So we can we can actually take a moment that is challenging and make it good and leverage it, um, and better our lives as a result of it. So there are really no good moments, bad moments. They're just moments. Um, and so at that time, uh, I think you're referring to my mom was transitioning, right?
Yes,
And
100%.
um, for anyone that is watching me that knows me, that was my boo, right? Like, my mom was my baby, man. She has since transitioned. She passed on February the 4th of this year, and just so much around that, Lou. Um, because I really wasn't sure. To your point, I wasn't sure whether I was going to come. Like you know, losing a parent is a bit different, right? I lost my dad when I was young. My father um, didn't have a whole lot of engagement with me. He was in the home for the first several years of my life, but my dad wasn't the emotional type, right? So he never had an emotional relationship with me. And I come to find out later on, he doesn't have an emotional relationship with his father either. He doesn't even
Mm,
know his father, right? And so I often say that my dad left me 3 times, right? My dad left me while in the home because he was emotionally absent, and he and my mother decide they're going to divorce, and he leaves me Delaware and goes to California, which is a geographical location. He leaves me a second time, and my mom and my dad decide they're gonna get back together. They're gonna get their act together, and before he returns home from Long Beach, California, he dies.
mm,
So, 3 separate occasions. The hope of connection is there.
yeah.
There's no manifestation of connection there. So my mom is all I knew, um, and it was a very challenging time because my mom passed away of cancer, man. She had cancer. Um, but she wanted to go. Like, my mom was 85. Like, so I don't want to make it seem like she was 40. She was 85,
Right, right. Yeah.
right? And so at 85, I told her, in her latter years, 80, 81, I said, hey, listen, if you ever try to check out of here, then I'm gonna lay on top of you, breathe in your mouth, whatever I got to do. And she would always say, "Boy, for as long as I've been trying to get out of here and see my Lord, yeah, don't do." She said, "I will wake up and slap the hell out of you." Right? And so when the doctor came in, I remember it was like it was yesterday, bro. The doctor comes into the because there are a series of things that happen while she's at home, and we have to take her by ambulance to the hospital, and they look at what's going on. And anytime the doctor says, Lou, hey, is it okay to talk in front of your family, or do you need them to leave?
Mm,
I knew
what the deal was.
what the deal was.
Yeah,
So
sure.
he tells her, and I break. I run out the room, I sit in the hallway, and I just bawl. Um, so my mom said to me, son, I'm okay. I know you're not okay, but I'm okay. Right. Um, but leading up to that time, man, before she passes, it was just a lot going on that I tried to navigate. And, you know, quite frankly, bruh, you give me a mic, I'm gonna kill it. Right. I'm a kill a stage. All you got to do is give me a mic. I can do that with my eyes closed. I preached for 25 years. So that's something I know how to do. I didn't know how to speak while in that level of pain.
Mm.
So I didn't know whether I was going to come or not and subject you guys to anything less than my best. I don't know how to give anything less than my best. And the fear of having to show up, not in vulnerability, because it's part of what I teach. I teach vulnerability and transparency and authenticity. That wasn't the issue. The issue was whether or not I could show up, be my full and authentic self, and give you my very best, knowing that on my mind is my mom. Right. And so, um, yeah, I it was probably the single most difficult season of my life. And I'll say this, then I'll be quiet, Lou. It wasn't until maybe 2 weeks ago that I even went to the grave. When
Mm.
she passed, I didn't go to the grave. Uh, she wasn't there. So, she told me she was going to be with her Lord. That's where she is. I wasn't going to look at it like she was in that box, and I wasn't going to look at it like she was underground. But what happened to me is that I didn't face the reality that she was gone. The grave for me still didn't represent where she was, but it did bring to me an awareness of the finality of what just took place. Right. So 2 weeks ago, from February the 4th, 2 weeks ago, I was able to go and sit at the grave, cry. My big sister took me, and I was able to sit in the chair. And for the audience, man, it may sound strange, Lou, but I was able to sit in the chair and I asked my big sister one question. I said, she's not coming back, is she?
Mm.
She said, no. I sighed. I said, okay. I faced the moment.
Mhm.
Life is about not life. 90% of life is not about what happens. 90% of life is how you respond to what happens. Only 10% is about what happens. And I needed to face the reality. After I cried and snotted, and it was muddy out there, so I'm dirty. And my big sister's like, okay, my mom had this word called tuchus. Don't ask me what a tuchus is, man. But my mom had this word called tuchus, right? So my sister said, hey, if mom was here, she would say, get your tuchus off this cold, wet ground before you catch a cold in your tuchus, right? So I sat in the chair and just let myself emote, because a part of the issue with men is that we suppress everything. We try to protect and people think that it's us trying to protect ourselves from emoting. It's not that. It's us attempting to protect everyone else from us emoting. That's
Mm.
on our minds. So I finally got a chance to emote, got a chance to cry, got a chance to ask the question that I refused to ask, whether or not she was ever coming back. And the sobering reality is my mom's gone for good. And I'll see her again. That is my personal belief. I'll see her again. But right now in this world, yeah, I won't see her again. Right. She is probably the single most influential figure of my entire life. And there is no one like Aretha, Elva, Nadine, Adams, Jackson, Morton.
Say her
Absolutely.
name, brother. My man. I
Yes,
love it. I love
yes,
it.
sir.
I love it. Um, there's so many parallel aspects of our lives, bro. You know, more than you know. I was on a podcast. Actually, it wasn't a podcast when I was being interviewed for my book, and we're done with the interview, and she says, "Is there anything else you'd like to add?" Eloy Castro. It's my grandfather's name.
Mm,
I need you to understand everything that we just talked about is because of him, you know. And that's in my book, you know what I mean? So for you to do that, bro, again, it just resonates.
yeah, yeah,
As
man.
you always do, brother.
Oh,
Um, so you shared that, and thank you again for the transparency, bro. You know, when you shared that at the conference, um my grandparents raised me,
yeah,
right? So, and my grandmother was in her mid 80s, right? And like your, in different aspects, but like your mother lived a full
yeah,
life, an
yeah,
impactful life.
yeah,
Like the world is different
yeah,
because she
bro.
was here,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes,
So
sir.
when you were speaking on, like, I could see you glowing, and I could, and as much as you were compartmentalizing,
Yeah,
right, to be able to get through and
yeah,
fulfill the commitment,
yeah,
I felt it
yeah,
and shared, that with you afterwards,
yeah.
and I just needed you to know that I was appreciative of the fact that you powered through,
Yes,
you
sir.
know um and where we are now is like that was the seed that planted it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And it's just continuing to grow. So thank you for all of that. So why did I want you specifically for the month of February, right? So February is Black History Month, as we all
Yes,
know. And you are one of the few people that I know that is your work makes a difference, kind of burning the candle on both ends. And what I
yes,
mean by that is behind the scenes, doing the things, putting in the work that nobody sees, right, for
yes.
the end result, as well as, out there with a bullhorn if need be, right,
Absolutely.
front and center, you know, um, because I'm a firm believer, and sometimes we can make some moves by way of email, and there's other times I might have to grab you by the scruff of your collar and say, listen to me, what I'm about to tell you right now,
Absolutely. You
right?
are that guy, by the way.
Yeah.
You are definitely that guy.
I have my moments, brother. I have my moments, you know, but I have to be able to balance that, right? Um, it's not everybody can do that, especially when you're talking about the kind of work that you're
Yes.
doing,
Yeah.
right? So if you could speak on for a while, and to use your words, I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna shut up, right? I'm gonna stop talking, right? Remand. If
Yes.
you could, explain the two facets of Remand,
Yes.
the nonprofit aspect of it, and then the coaching for profit.
Yes, sir.
Floor is yours, my brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the ability to speak about something that I'm just incredibly passionate about. I want to draw your attention, man, and all of your audience's attention to a book written by Dr. James Cone. Dr. James Cone I think he's still alive. He may be not. The modern day prophet around Black liberation theology. Um, he writes a book called Malcolm and Martin: The Nightmare and the Dream. And in that book, he attempts to kind of juxtapose the two individuals and their proverbial ministries, right, and assignments. As Martin, as one who uses his theological construct to kind of say, hey, love is the answer. That's trying to change law by love. Malcolm's like, hell no. Like let's change
By
policy by
any means
any means
necessary.
necessary, right? And a part of the brilliance of James Cone's work is that I think he's passed. A part of the brilliance of James Cone's work is that he recognizes that toward the end of their respective lives, Lou, they kind of come to this crossroads where Malcolm is more like Martin
Mm,
and Martin is more like Malcolm, right? Martin then says, hey, listen, I'm concerned that I'm asking our people to assimilate into what looks like a burning house, right? Malcolm comes back from his pilgrimage and says, "Hey, I ain't got no problems with them. I ain't got no problems with y'all. I really don't. I want to forget every bad thing that I've said about y'all. Hopefully, y'all can forget the bad things I've said about y'all. I want to forget the bad things you said about me. I want a fresh slate." So there was this crossing of paths and ideologies that happened. What is most significant for me, if I look at both of their works, man, it's that Martin was really about changing policy, and he did great work at changing policy. Malcolm was more about personal responsibility. So
mm,
if we could just look at men, black men in particular, here's what you will see. You will see black men, by and large, many of them who say, hey, there is a system that is against us, that makes it very difficult, damn near impossible for us to become all that we need to be. Then there's another group of brothers who say, yeah, stop expecting the system to do for you what you should be doing for yourself. Here's the truth. The truth is it's not either or, it's and both.
mm,
That we have to be responsible for transforming the culture of individual black men, because there are some things that black men are doing, some ways in which we're engaging with one another, some ways in which we're engaging with society that are absolutely unhealthy, right? Um, and yet, so the transformation of the character of individual black men is a part of my responsibility that we do with the coaching and consulting side of Remanned. The there also must be a transformation of the culture or character of institutions that impact black men, right? So you can't lay all of the burden in the laps of black men and say, hey, the system is cool, because the system's not cool. I watched yesterday a video from 2019 of a white female officer who has a black man in her back seat. He's gasping for air. He's he's saying, "Hey, I need to be able to stop by the side of the road, get myself together." She's clowning with him. She's clowning and saying, "You do know that if you were really out of breath and dying, then you wouldn't be able to talk. You wouldn't be able to do A, B, and C." She pulls into the garage of the police station and she opens up the door. She slaps him on the leg and says, come on, time to get out. Stop playing, get out." The dude's dead. Because until we address that, this thing, so in sociological terms, Lou, called bracketing, unless I'm willing to suspend my particular bias against a person in order to get to know that person, then
mm-hmm,
I'm going to continue to make these social and societal and legal mistakes that our society is making against black men. So for me, Remand is about transforming the character of individual black men. It is also transforming the character of the institutions that impact black men. And you can't do one without the other. Both of them are necessary. So whether I show up and grab the proverbial collar of the governor, or whether I show up and literally grab the collar of a black man, I'm grabbing collars. I'm out here in these streets grabbing collars, because there is nobody I love more and respect more than brothers. Nobody. We have had it hard. Black and brown men have had it particularly hard. There is a target on our backs, and anyone who tries to suggest that that is not happening, I have data and statistics that prove otherwise. And yet at the same time, I've got to be able to say to brothers, stop waiting for Superman, my guy. He's not
Mm.
coming, right? That if you're going to see any transformation in your life, there's an internal locus of control that suggests you're going to have to do it. And if you're not willing to do it, then you can't see your life advance in any meaningful way. So, Remand the nonprofit is about helping brothers that are coming out of prison, brothers that are dealing with child support, brothers that are the most marginalized of our communities, helping them with their character and the institutions that impact them. And then the LLC, our for profit arm, is really attempting to address the CEOs and CFOs and entrepreneurs and people like that that say, look, I got issues too as a black man. My issues are a bit different because I'm in the C-suite. And,
Mm-hmm.
and how it plays out in the C-suite is very different than how it plays out on the block and those brothers that are coming out of reentry. But here's a deal. All of us the same, for real, for real. I don't care whether you're in the C-suite or not, you still dealing with the same racial bias that the brother on the block is dealing with. And even though you got a degree from Harvard or you got a degree from UPenn or wherever you went, and you're in the stock exchange, you're dealing with all of that, man, you still a nigga. That's for real. Right. So at the end of the day, my hope, man, is to do what you said so powerfully, bruh. I just want to leave this space a little better than I found it. And I believe that the key, at least my assignment, is to leave the world a better place because I get a chance to address, to empower, to encourage the most marginalized group in this world right now, which are adult black males. And for me, finally, man, the truth of the matter is we've got so many programs. People ask me all the time, how can you ever say that adult black males are the issue? No, we got to work with these young people. I said, there are countless organizations working with young people. There are countless organizations working with women. There are countless organizations working with the LGBTQIA plus community. But when you show up as an adult black male who the world expects for you to have your stuff together, and you don't, where's the support? There is none, which then means that we are the most marginalized because not only are we challenged and distressed, but we have no support. Women are challenged and distressed, but they got support. Young people are challenged and distressed, but they got support. LGBTQI plus community challenged, but they got support. Black men challenged, and when you try to get support, they like, oh man, get yourself together, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and make sure that your life is better. And I agree with them, but I also do not ignore the fact that there are significant challenges in the ways in which Black men are viewed and the lack of support that we're experiencing as brothers. So that is in a nutshell the reason why we have two arms of Remand. Hopefully that helps. That makes sense a little bit.
100%,
Yeah,
100%, man. And it's yeah, both ends, right? Burning the
yeah,
candle at both ends,
yeah.
man. You know, you said something. It reminded me of something that I saw so many years ago. And to show how long ago it was on Def Comedy Jam,
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a minute.
right? DMX had come on there, and it was when they came back as Def Poetry,
Got
right?
it.
Um, DMX came on there, and he did a rhyme or did a session called "Industry versus in the Streets,"
Mm,
and he was going back and forth. The industry, it be like blah 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 blah. In the streets, it be like blah 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 blah. It's the same thing though,
yes,
just a different
yes, bro.
environment, right? And
Yes,
an example
yes,
of that was, um, he said in the industry they'd be like fire him, cut him, drop him from the label. In the streets, they'd be like get him,
absolutely, bro.
right? And it's the
Absolutely.
same
It's the
thing.
same thing.
How you address those, right?
Yes,
Is to your point, right? Burning
yeah,
the candle at both ends, man.
yeah,
So I was just I was remembering that, like you act like you took me there for a second. You took me
yeah, man.
there, man.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the frustration is that the two, you have a group of people, which is the same way Martin and Malcolm played out, right? You have a group of people on Martin's side who said we got to change the policy. It's the difference between W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. You got Booker T. Washington who says, "Hey, we got to develop jobs for ourselves, so on and so forth." W.E.B. Du Bois said, "No, we got to fight. We got to fight policy." And the challenge is that because we want to do one in lieu of the other, we don't recognize that you got to do one and the other. You got to do both of them at the same
Mm,
time in order to see any substantive change, right? Which is the reason why, and we'll talk about this at another time because I'm gonna need you to coach me. Sometimes my wife like, "Negro, can I get some of your time?" And I'm
mm.
always thinking about brothers that as long as I'm here on this planet, man, um, you know, I'm gonna die doing this work. I'm gonna draw my last breath asking the question: are black men better as a result of the things that I put my hands to and the things I put my heart to? Are black men better? And if black men are better, then I'll go. If black men ain't better, I'm gonna ask God, give me a little more time.
Oh, my guy. You touched on something that impacted your life in more than one way. And you spoke on it at the conference, and that's cancer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, man.
Your mother had her struggles,
Yes,
right, with the illness.
yes,
You had your
I
struggles
did.
with the illness,
I did.
right? And I always speak on my stepmother beat breast cancer. My wife's cousin
Wow.
beat breast cancer. My wife's aunt beat it.
Wow.
I'm blessed to have a lot of friends and family members that won that struggle, that
Yes,
won
sir.
that fight, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you shared it, it was impactful just for that reason alone,
Yes,
right?
sir.
But in particular, your type of cancer
Yeah,
and you being a minority,
yeah,
how a minority man,
yeah.
how we tend to react and how we conduct ourselves
Yes,
with this particular ailment,
yes.
um, and the fact that you did what you had to do,
Absolutely.
right, and encourage black men, brown men to do this,
Absolutely.
all men, and when it comes to this, but
Absolutely.
again, especially us in our stubborn communities and
Yeah,
in our
man.
prideful with
Yeah,
our prideful selves, right?
absolutely.
Um, those are the challenges in the financial space that I try to break through,
Yeah,
right? But yeah, if you could expound on that
yeah,
and let the audience know, what
yeah,
what you
yeah,
went through.
man. So I had it's kind of crazy, Lou. I had prostate cancer. And what's wild is when I was sitting at my mom's grave and just kind of talking with my big sister, um, she said, "Hey, you coming up on 10 years of being cancer free." And I was like, "No, no, no, no. It'll be 9 years." And she's like, "No, it'll be 10 years when you beat cancer." She said, "I know because I took off," and she did. I took off an entire week to make sure you were good. And it happened in 2014. I was just getting to work at the city of Wilmington. So I'm originally from Wilmington, Delaware. I'm just in Atlanta now for just over a year and some change. Um, but she said, I actually had to tell them, I can't really, I can start, but I'm gonna have to take a week off because my brother is having surgery for prostate cancer. So she said that was in 2014. Last night, I was looking at a picture, Lou, of my mom standing over me at my bedside. And it was on May the 8th, 2014.
Mm.
In May the 8th of 2024, I will be 10 years cancer free, right? And I'm so grateful, man. But I'm grateful for a number of reasons. One is what many people don't know is for everyone who, and I have my own political ideas, right? And when President Barack Hussein Obama was president, I love the fact that he was black. I hated some of his policies, but I love the fact that he was black. And of course, Obamacare is a result of his presidency, one of his hallmarks of his presidency. Well, I've always been an entrepreneur, bro, right? And so I didn't have health insurance before Obamacare,
Mm.
right? I was out here with no insurance at all, right? Just believe in God to make sure everything was good. And I remember, Lou, the first time I got health insurance under Obamacare, right? The Affordable Care Act. And my first doctor's appointment was to my general doctor, and he said, uh, "Your your numbers are a little high." Said, I'm gonna send you to a what my man called a dick doc, right? What Dr. Wilkins called a dick doc, right? So I went to I went to a urologist, um, and the urologist took my PSA numbers, and he said, "Yeah, they're a bit high." The nurse was about to send me home, and the nurse said, "They're high, but he'll probably send you home. They're not astronomically high, so he'll probably send you home." And I remember the doctor comes in and he says, "I want to do a biopsy." And he said, "Normally with numbers like these, they don't alarm me, but this is important for everybody to listen to." He said, "But you're a black man,
Mm.
and we interpret the numbers differently for black men than we do for white men." I said, "Okay." They took the biopsy. And let me, I don't know whether I should tell people this or not, but here, this is how you know something ain't right,
I knew
right?
what I was getting into when I asked you to come on the show, brother. So
Right? This is how you know the diagnosis ain't cool. So usually, if everything's good, they'll call you on the phone and say, "Hey, no need to come in. Your numbers are good. The doctor set you up for another appointment." They ain't called me. So I called them like, "Hey, I haven't heard anything." And they said, "Yeah, the doctor will call you." I said, "What is everything good?" "The doctor will call you." I'm like, "Oh, everything's not good." So I remember going to the doctor, and he said, "Mr. Morton, I have good news and I got bad news." He said, "Which one you want first?" I said, "The bad news. You have cancer." "What in the hell is the good news?" "There is no good news after you tell somebody they got cancer." I said, "What's the doc? What are you talking? What's the good news?" He said, "The good news is we caught it early.
Mm.
And because we caught it early, your options are vast in comparison to if we didn't catch it at this time." He said, "If this is important, brothers, if you would have come to me 6 months to a year later, you and I are having a different conversation." So when I say I'm grateful for President Barack Hussein Obama, oh yeah, for real, because he provided an avenue for me to have insurance so I could go to the doctor, so I could be diagnosed. All of it was time, Lou. It was time. If I didn't have that, 6 months to a year later, we're having a different conversation. And the doctor said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He said, we can do radiation, we can do chemo, we can take your prostate out, And I talked with one of the OGs, and I said, "Hey man, these are the options." He said, "Ain't no option." I said, "Yeah, there's the option. The option is I can do." He said, "Ain't no option." I said, "Man, hey, listen, if he takes my prostate out, the likelihood of me being able to perform as a man is severely compromised." He said, "Donald," I never forget, his name is Ted Blunt. Shout out to Mr. Blunt. Mr. Blunt took me to breakfast. He said, "Hey, Donald," in the middle of eggs and bacon, man. This is what he says. He said, "Hey, Donald, sex at a certain point is nothing more than wood in a hole." Like, "Mr. Blunt, what are you talking?" He said, "It's just wood in a hole. After a while, it don't even matter. You're talking about whether or not you're going to be able to have sex tomorrow. I'm talking about whether or not you'll even live today." And Lou put it all in perspective.
And perspective is everything,
The
man.
perspective is everything, right? So I had a prostatectomy. They took my prostate out. And for those that want to know, man, you married? And she is very happy.
My guy.
I still handle my business. God is still great. I handle my business. She is incredibly happy. So I'm still able to perform. Here's the deal, bro. Brothers, there's so much technology out here now, so many ways to be able to navigate life that you don't have to put your life on the line because you're afraid that you won't be able to perform. That's that slave stuff that happened when you were only characterized in the Mandingo fashion. You were only noticed and viewed and seen to the degree that you could impregnate a woman. That's the only value that you had. But I want to tell you, bro, you got more value than that. You don't have to be known by whether or not you can lay pipe. It ain't that. It ain't that. And sisters today, they got the rules. So you can't even last longer than the rules. You're going to have to bring something else to the table. And it took an OG to tell me, "Hey, man, it's not just about sex, bro. It's about saving your life." And I live today, 10 years later, because I made the right choice. Um, and I've got a great urologist here. I had a great urologist there. I got a great urologist here that's monitoring. And 10 years is a good amount of time to be cancer free. So I want to encourage every brother, um, make wise decisions, man. Your family needs you here. Lou needs you here. I need you here. You got a contribution that you need to make. And whatever you're faced with, face it like a G and make sure that you overcome it. But you can't overcome it if you won't even face it. If you're afraid to go to the doctor because you don't even want to hear what he got to say, there's just too much out here now to be able to overcome the challenges. Um, and so here I am having kicked cancer's ass
My
for 10
man.
years straight. Yes, sir.
My man. Yeah, I mean, that was just so, again, the type of cancer, in our community too. And just the fact that you were proactive,
Yeah.
right? Like you weren't feeling anything. You
Yeah.
weren't having any
Right.
symptoms.
Right.
As far as you're concerned, man, this is a checkup. Just make sure everything's on the up and up. Wait, it's not on the up and up. What you mean?
Right.
Because I feel good. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
And so often, we'll go when there's a problem,
Right.
right? The reactive instead of being proactive,
Absolutely, bro.
right? And this is the importance of what I'm trying to accomplish with this podcast,
Yeah.
right? Um, the same verbiage applies in the
Yes.
financial world,
Yes. Yes.
right? So it's important that this not be a finance show. There's tons of finance shows, right? But I can take a financial approach,
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
right?
For sure.
And the conversations may go that route, you know what I mean? Especially when you're talking about living a life of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
the struggles of not having health care and then having health care. But hey, guess what? Now you got cancer,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And there's so many different financial angles in that, with regards to different types of insurance, etc.
Yes, sir.
But you were able to power through,
Yes, sir.
right? And when it comes to life's challenges, my mindset is it's one of two things. It's either I've been through some things in life and this is the test,
Yes.
right? Or this is preparation for a test that's coming.
Absolutely, bro.
Either way, I got to hunker down,
Absolutely, bro.
right? Either way, I gotta take my stance and give it what I got,
Absolutely.
you know. Um, when you were going through that, this is ironically enough, I was on a podcast day before yesterday, and there's something that people in the military, um, I don't know why it happens, but it always happens, and it is day one in boot camp. They shave your head and they give you camis, right? Why? We are all the same. No
Absolutely.
black, there's no brown, there's no yellow,
Absolutely.
we are all green, period. We function from that day forward all throughout basic training, regardless of what branch, 6, 8, 13 weeks, whatever it is for your
Mm-hmm.
respective branch,
Mm-hmm.
as a unit, as a team.
Mm-hmm.
We finish our time in the military, be it short time or a career,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden we get this army of one mindset when it comes to challenges.
Yes.
I got this. I can do this, right? What happened to the whole team concept,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it just, for whatever the reason is, it goes out the window.
Yeah.
So when you had your medical issue, when you were diagnosed with cancer, what was going on? Was it I need to lean on my team? Was it God, it's just me and you? Was it why has he forsaken me? Like, what was going through your head? Because I know you to be a strong man,
Yeah.
but everybody got their cracks somewhere,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Without
you know?
question, man. Without
So
question.
what was Dr. Donald Morton's mindset going through that process from the initial diagnosis to the dust has settled, reality's kicked in,
Yeah.
to the struggle, to where we are?
Yeah. Fortunately, man. And I think that's an incredible analogy, right? Because I was in the military. Um, I went into the United States Marine Corps first. Found out I couldn't swim. They kicked me out. I went, then I
I
went
just
in.
found this out. I didn't know this.
I did, man. I went to the Marine Corps, couldn't swim. I'm throwing up in the water because here's the deal. I went into the Marine Corps because I love the uniforms. I love the uniforms. I love the discipline of the Marine Corps. There's something about the Marine Corps, bro, that was just so locked. I wanted to be a part of that. It's the same way, even though I'm a Christian, I'm a card carrying Christian. I love the Nation of Islam. Locked. I mean, the level of discipline was just phenomenal. And I've always been a guy who wanted to lock into that kind of lifestyle. So I get into the Marine Corps, man. I go through all, at that time, 12 weeks. A week before it's time to graduate, they say, hey, we can't graduate. You can't swim. Right. So, but this is the crazy thing, Lou. I was such a good soldier that they said, this is what we've talked to the higher ups. This is what we're able to do. We'll let you bypass swim qualification, but you got to go all the way back in training to week one. I said, man, send me home. I ain't
Mm.
doing that. Send me home. Went to the United States Army Reserves, one soldier of the cycle. And ironically, I got out of the Army Reserves because the level of discipline in the reserves just wasn't there. There are guys wearing their hats backwards. I'm like, man, if I go to war with you, I'm dead.
I'm dead.
You know what I'm saying? So I took something different from the military, right? I took exactly what you just said from the military. I was born, I have an older sister, but by and large, my older sister moved out very, very early. I was an only child in my own mind. So going into the military, I developed brotherhood. I developed relationships. Coming out of the military, I still had brotherhood and relationships. That was on my mind. So when I am diagnosed with cancer, I have a tremendous support system. I got a believing mom. Um, she got her tears out. My sister, she crying and she fainting, because that's how she manages everything, right? So my sister crying and fainting. This my baby, this my boo. She called me Buddy. She nicknamed me Buddy. This is Buddy. You gonna be all right? I'm gonna be all right, Jack. Everything's good, right? I had church, but I was pastoring at that time, so I shut down my church. And I went back home to be a part of my mom's church, the church I grew up in, because I needed support. Right. My ex-wife was and because I had cheated on her, and that's a whole nother podcast, right? I had done so dirty to my ex-wife that, she was still present, but she couldn't be fully present. I was doing her dirty. And she was at the same time saying, hey, I'm gonna stand with you. We good. She was helping me believe, all of that. So the level of support I had from my mom to my ex-wife to my children, my daughter, my sons, my youngest son, he ain't gonna say a whole lot. He's just gonna check out like, yeah, he gonna say his prayer in private. My oldest son, he gonna shed a tear. Gonna like, all right, Dad, what we need to do. Church family, I just had a tremendous support system. So it's incredibly comforting, right, to know that no matter what happened, I had the support of family and friends to help me to navigate that. And then finally, Lou, I had a bunch of OGs that were there for me. Ted Blunt, brother by the name of Monroe, and they would secretly tell my mom, he gonna be all right. I dealt with this, I overcame it.
Mm.
So God, we call him the source inside Remanned, right? The source would always show up at these different places to help my mom. Just somebody whisper in her ear, like, he gonna be okay. I got 25 years after it. Another one would say, he gonna be okay. I got 5 years after it. He gonna be okay. I got 15 years after it. So my mom would be able to come to me and say, hey, babe, guess who I saw? I saw such and such. He said, you gonna be all right because he got 15 years after it. Right. So there were strategically places and people that God would put in my mom's path and in my path to be able to say to me, man, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. And so my mental was always good. Because God strategically, the source strategically would place people in my path to make sure that they would whisper to me that I was going to be okay. And here I am 10 years later. I still, and let's be clear, I'm a stand on principle kind of guy, but I don't make it through that without my support system. Mm-mm. You can literally worry yourself to death.
True
So
words.
even right, so even if cancer doesn't take me out, worry take me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also told by my doctors, a cancer spreads through worry too. So if I don't have space where I can be encouraged, if there aren't people that are encouraging me, I don't make it through that. The most sacred thing in the world, Lou, this is in my new book, right? The most sacred thing in the world is connection. And everybody talks about vertical connection, my connection with my creator.
Mm-hmm.
Important. But no one talks about the sacredness of the horizontal connection. It's not just this connection that's sacred, it's this connection that's sacred, right? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Thou art with me. Thou who? This one? Yes, but also this one. There's something about Lou Rosado where I know that I got God, but I can face the darkest times of my life because I can pick up the phone and call Lou. That is equally a sacred connection. Most people only view God as the one who is willing to walk through darkness with them. And what I want people to know is, there are some friends and family that have been orchestrated and constructed to walk through darkness with you. And those horizontal connections are equally sacred. And we just have to cultivate them because we never know when we're going to need them. And the worst thing in the world, bro, is to pick up the phone after a person not hearing from you for 15 years and you need them. It don't work like that, right? So we've got to be willing to cultivate the horizontal connections and view them as sacred in the same way that we view our vertical connection with God as sacred.
2 points to that. I tell people I do a lot of mentoring, a lot of coaching, and I tell them I always end the same way. Hit me back and let me know how you made out, right? Because I want to celebrate the wins with you, right? I want to push you in the back when you need it.
Yes.
I want to pick you up and dust you off when you need it.
Yes.
And I want to hold you by your wrist like a referee.
Yes.
When you deserve it.
Yes. Yes.
Right. A friend is there through all of that.
Yes, absolutely, bro. Absolutely, right, bro. Absolutely. And hopefully people, a part of what I want brothers to know, Lou, is that yes, a friend is there through all of that. But being my boy when I'm in a good time, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's
fair weather friends, right? Yeah.
Right? The friendship finds its validity when I'm in the most difficult time of my life. The Bible says it this way, man: a friend is born for times of adversity. That the reason for which I was born is to be there when Lou is in a difficult time. That's the reason why I'm a friend. I was born for this moment. So a lot of times, brothers have no problems getting brothers to show up when all things are good. Yeah, I need you to show up when I'm melting, right? When my wife is bananas, right? Or my money's funny. Well, I need the sacredness of the relationship then, not just when everything's good and you need to borrow $20. I'll give you $20, but what about when I need $20? Right? What is that going to look like? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. So you only missed out on one lesson in boot camp, and that was in week 13, bro. You only missed one lesson, man. All right, and that lesson is friendships through hardships. Friendships through hardships. You live long enough, you will come across a point in time where you need a hand, and you look around like, who can I count on?
Absolutely, bro.
And I will never ever forget. My son is 23.
Okay.
He was just born. He was 1.
Okay.
Financially on my face. And I called someone who said to me, hey, bro, if you ever want to get in to what I'm doing, call me. I got you.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a union job.
Okay.
All right, cool. I'm calling. Nothing. And I don't ask for help. You know what I mean? Like I was that, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm like, but this ain't about me.
Yes, sir.
It's about a promise I made to my wife.
Yes, sir. Yes,
it's about my son.
Yes, sir, bro.
So if it means I gotta swallow my pride and ask for help, I'm gonna do it.
Yes, sir.
Hey, bro, listen, man, this gig ain't working out for me. I could really use a hand paying for some Pampers right now. And the best way you could do that, brother, is help me out with this application process. Can I drop your name? Never heard from him. Wow. Held on to that for a few years, but then got to a point where it was like, all right, how can I pivot that to something positive?
Yes.
By never being that, by never doing that.
Got it.
That's why I went through that. So
Got
I
it.
will never do that.
Got it.
Got it.
Got
You
it.
know what I mean?
Got it.
So yeah, friendships through hardships, man. And another final
Friendships.
point I'll make is everybody knows the traditional compass, right? The north, south, east, and west. The internal compass that I utilize is mind, body, heart, and soul. Right? Where's my head?
Yeah.
Right? What kind of thoughts am I festering? Right?
Yeah.
What kind of energy am I feeding in my head?
Yeah.
Right? Is it in the direction I need it to be? Body, am I physically taking care of myself? Am I eating
Yeah.
right? Am I sleeping right? Am I hitting my treadmill the way I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be? Right?
Yeah.
My heart, where are my emotions? Does my wife does she still feel the love that I have for her?
Yeah.
And my kids and my friends and my clients, everybody that I know love, right? Know and love. Do they feel that love?
Yeah.
Right? And am I loving correctly?
Mm.
Right? Because everybody got a different love language.
Absolutely, bro.
Right? So am I loving correctly? And of course, my soul, do I have that connection?
Yes.
Am I so ingrained in the day to day that I forget to pause and have that conversation? Right.
Yeah.
So mind, body, heart, and soul is my internal compass, bro.
I love it. I love it, bro.
So we will wrap up with this, my guy.
Okay.
Floor is yours. Any closing moments? Of course. You mentioned your book, right? So where can people find your book?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
someone's
Yeah.
interested in that, almost like it was planned, right?
Yes. 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 Get the
I love
book.
it. I love it. But of course, you gotta have it handy, right?
Yes.
You
Of
gotta have it.
course.
You gotta have it handy, right? I'm
Of
with you, man.
course.
That's an
Yes.
author thing. That's what authors do. That's what
Yes.
authors do, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So where
Look,
can somebody buy your book? Where can somebody, if someone's interested in any aspect of Remand,
yeah.
utilizing or contributing to, how do people
Yeah.
find you, bro?
Yeah, thank you, man. For all of those things, really, you can go to remanned.info. That's REMANNED.info. All of our programs are there. The ability to support the Remand nonprofit is there. The book is there. Merch is there. We've got a couple of shifts that are happening that it will have already happened by the time this airs. It's going to be incredibly exciting as we see the rollout of the new brand that people are experiencing now. And so I want everyone to connect with Remand. Here's why. There is not an organization on the planet that is dedicated to adult Black males, not just as fathers, not just as I'm talking about in a comprehensive way, adult Black males like Remand. I was told by a judge, a former judge of family court, when asked, "Hey, what's on the agenda for adult Black males?" That the former judge said nothing.
Mm,
Y'all not even on our radar. And they weren't saying it to be smart. They were saying it because it was true.
those facts.
It was facts. So I'm asking everybody to support Remand because nobody else is. Nobody else is supporting adult Black males. Um, and there's nothing great about Donald Morton. It's my part of the wall. Nehemiah had to build a wall. He asked several people to take a piece. God has asked Lou to do what he does in the financial realm. God has asked me to do what I do for adult Black males. His part of the wall is finances. My part of the wall is adult Black males. There's nothing special about Lou. There's nothing special about Donald. We're just obedient servants to the one who asked us to do some work. So
Say it
I'm
again.
asking you guys to support Remand because there are countless men, not just in this country, but around the world, who are struggling and are in crisis. And I just want to do my best to help support them transform their own character and then also transform the character of the institutions that impact them. So if you go to www.remanned.info, you'll be able to support our work right there.
My guy, Dr. Donald Morton. Cannot thank you enough. As
Thank you, bro.
always, bro. It's always yeah, anytime we have a conversation, man, I'm always filled in some capacity, man.
Me too.
I'm always, you know,
Me too.
a better man for it. So
Me too.
love and appreciate you, brother.
Love and appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Until we catch up again, be good, be safe, and blessings, my guy.
Same to you, bro. Talk soon.
Right. Peace.
Okay. Peace.